If I were to give a title to my talk today, it would be this: What God Told Me. And this is what God has told me over the past, week or 2 weeks. I've had, some of you might know I was on call for 3 weeks with Red Cross and All Hands and Hearts as part of the I say second responder, but first responder to the disaster that we had. And that took a lot of time and everything. And I've had the past 2 weeks now that has been deactivated and stood down to do some reflection and meditation and journaling. And so this is what God has told me. And interestingly enough, it started. How many of you have heard of or seen the movie? What was it called? Field of Dreams with Kevin Costner. Oh, yeah. How many of you have seen that? Oh yeah. And one of the key aspects of that movie is build it and they will come, right? Build it and they will come. And of course, in the movie, the it that they refer to is what? The baseball field. Right. Or I guess, was it baseball or softball? I think it was baseball field. And that movie came out in the early 90s, I believe, and soon thereafter, the dot-com industry and the emergence of the internet came on. And everybody did the dot-com. Build it and they will come. Build it and they will come, meaning build your dot-com business and they will come. And of course, what happened to the dot-com business? It crashed. It was like a bubble that blew out. Something very similar happened about 3, 4, 5 years ago. There's been an emergence, which is part of what I do now, of coaching online. Health coaching, wellness coaching, spiritual coaching, everything like that. And kind of something very similar. Oh, build it, build it, build it, and they will come. And all of a sudden, a lot of people went, not that easy. And about a year ago, I remember this. I was sitting at home, and I'm like, you know what? I think we've got the it part wrong. Okay, it's not, the it is not the business. Build the business and they will come. I thought, no, something's not right about that. And so I went inside, which is what we're taught to do here. Go within. When you're not sure, when you have uncertainty, when you have confusion, when you have stress, when you have anxiety, go within. See what happens. So I went within. And the answer that came back to me was the it is not the business. The it that you build is you. You got it, Carol, you're right. The it that you build is you. And so I had this idea, well, build you and they will come. And so this is what I've been on and all of this for about a year now. And so about 2 days ago, and I posted this a little bit, a variation version on my Facebook page and some different groups, I went into some different groups. You can go on the internet now. It is absolutely incredible. Access to almost 1 billion people all at once. It's incredible, the power of the internet and some of these social media groups that are online. But anyway, there's a couple different ones. One of them that I was in is something by Tony Robbins. Has anybody heard of that name? He's big. He's got over 1 million people in this group. And the algorithms will, and I've been studying about algorithms a little bit lately, algorithms will reach at a minimum, usually about 10%. So if you take 10% of 1 million people, what is that? That's 100,000 people. So you have access almost immediately to 100,000 people. Now that's no guarantee. It kind of depends on your post and how much people like it and comment on it and click share and all of that stuff. But I thought, okay, they're all still thinking they got to build the business. They don't know what's going on. So I'm going to do something really cool. I'm going to go in and I'm going to write this big giant post, build you and they will come. And I thought, I'm onto something. This is going to be cool. I'm gonna motivate them. I'm gonna inspire them. I'm gonna teach them. I'm gonna educate them. Build you, and they will come. And I thought, okay, well, what is the you part? What is it about you that you need to build? And so I came up with this list of 3 great things. Like, I'm gonna inspire them and tell them these 3 great things that they need in order to build them, so that they can then build their business. And the first one I said is, okay, you got to have a vision, right? Everybody will tell you that. Every CEO, everybody who's with a business, they'll tell you got to have a vision. Where do you want your life to be a year from now, 5 years from now? Who is that person that you want to become? Even in a lot of my wellness programs, I've said this exact same thing. I've said, you've got to have a vision. So that's what I wrote down. I said, you've got to have a vision. I'm like, cool, I'm getting goosebumps. They're going to really get into this. And I said the second thing is, which is key, which is I've said almost since day one, since I started my journey about 14 years ago, the second thing you've got to have to build you is your why. Okay, what is your why for life? Why do you do what you do? Why do you get out of bed in the morning? And I even made a little antidote, if that's the right word, about that. I said your why is what's going to keep you motivated when the going gets tough. And it's not if the going gets tough, it's when the going gets tough. So you got to know your why. And every coach out there, every Fortune 500 CEO will say the same thing. I studied a lot of them. They all say you got to have a strong why, a deeply rooted why. Okay? And so I'm on a roll here. We've got the vision. We've got the why. And then the third thing that I told them, straight from Science of Mind, straight from Ernest Holmes, is the mental equivalent. That's the terminology we use in Science of Mind. In the personal development world, we say mindset. You got to have the mindset. You got to have the mindset to match your vision. You got to have the mindset to match your vision, or a mindset that is greater. There's even a class that I took here at Science of Mind about this, about mental equivalent. And Ernest Holmes says that. He says, whatever you want, the universe is there to give you whatever you want, as long as you can imagine it, imagine the possibilities. So you've got to have the mindset. Okay, and I was all excited. I wrote this post on Facebook, and I summarized it. I said, okay, you got to have your vision, you've got to have your why, and you've got to have your mindset. And then when you have all that, you're building you, and guess what? They will come. And I said, well, what is the they? What is they? And I just summarized it by saying, they is your dreams, your goals, your aspirations, all that. So build you, and your dreams will come. Build you, your aspirations will come. Build you, and your goals will come. So I'm all good. I'm thinking, all right, this is going to be cool. I hit enter, and life goes on, right? And I check it periodically, and yeah, it's getting likes and it's getting comments and all of that things, and life is good. A couple hours later, maybe 4, 5, 6 hours later, I'm just hanging out in my trailer, just not doing any meditating and not doing any journaling, and it seems like when you least expect it is when God talks to you. And so this is what God told me. He goes, Brad, nope. And I said, what? He says, no, Brad, you don't need to build you. I'm like, okay. So what are you talking about? So in that situation, I do what I always do. I get my journal out, I get my pencil out, and I start talking to God. And I always start, I just saw, again, for the second time, the movie Top Gun Maverick, or even the original Top Gun. How many of you have seen that one? One of my favorite lines in there, the Maverick character, played by Tom Cruise, he goes, talk to me, Goose. Talk to me, Goose. So I get down, I get my journal out, I get my pen out, and I say, talk to me, God. And I wrote like, what's going on? What about this vision? What about dreams? What about goals? What about aspirations? What about building yourself? And God goes, no. And I'm like, why, God? Why? Are you ready for this? You don't need to build you, because you know the answer, believe. I know what you're going to say. You're already built. You're already built. And I went, oh my gosh! Holy cow! So you mean I'm wrong, God? And God goes, no, no again. And I said, God, but I've got all these crazy dreams. I've got all these crazy aspirations. I've got all these crazy goals. What am I supposed to do with all this? And I said, God, why am I getting so stressed, so frustrated? My anxiety sometimes goes through the roof because I'm so attached to all of this. Okay? Key to Science of Mind philosophy, key to spirituality, 2 words: let go. I said, God, how? I'm trying to let go. I think key to Buddhist philosophy also, Carol, this idea of non-attachment, letting go. So I'm like, God, this is, I'm pushing 51 here. I'm healthy. I eat right. I exercise, all this stuff. But you're making my blood pressure getting a little bit higher now. You want to fill me in a little bit more what you're talking about here, what's going on? Kind of maybe explain to me a little bit more. And this is what God told me. He says, Brad, you don't need to build yourself. You're already built. Your spirit. Remember, we say, beginning of every Saturday service, remember who you are. God reminded me, because I forgot again, that I am spirit first. You are spirit first and foremost. That's why you don't need to build, because you're already built. You're spirit first and foremost. I said, okay, God, but what about this attachment? I've got these wants, I've got these dreams, I've got these desires, I've got these goals. What am I supposed to do? And again, when you're in a trailer and you're in the woods, sometimes I reference Jesus, 40 days in the woods, like, I'm coming there, Jesus, I'm getting close to you. I think I'm starting to imitate you. I don't have the beard yet. Actually, I did last week, very similar to Josh there. Mine starts to itch, Josh. I don't know about yours, but
you gotta fight through it.
Yeah, you gotta fight through it. Yeah. So anyway, I said, well, God, okay, I let go, but how? We always want to know how. How, God? Just tell me how. This is what God told me. It says your spirit doesn't need any of that. Your spirit doesn't need a goal. Your spirit doesn't need a dream. Your spirit doesn't need a desire. Your spirit doesn't need a want. Your spirit doesn't need an inspiration. And remember, who are we? We are spirit. We are one with spirit. And then God told me something that kind of clued me in that I didn't understand before. And this was key to me understanding this. He said, Brad, it's your ego that wants something. It's your ego that's attached to your desire. It's your ego that's attached to your want. It's your ego that's attached to your goal. It's your ego that's attached to your dream. And I said, God, okay. We're getting kind of deep here, but can you keep it at a kindergarten level maybe? And God goes, Brad, just skip your ego. Bypass your ego. And that's when it hit me. Again, remembering who we are. We're spiritual beings first. And that made all the difference in the world. Okay? Spiritual beings first means we don't need ego. And when we bypass our ego, when we skip our ego, that's when the letting go occurs. That's when the non-attachment occurs. Okay? The hopes, the dreams, the desires. Okay? That's not what being spiritual means. Okay? That's what being ego means. And I said, oh my God, God. I'm literally like this. Like, God, I have goosebumps. Okay? What does this mean? What does this mean? I said, well, God, am I not supposed to have any dreams? Am I not supposed to have any goals? Am I not supposed to have any aspirations? This is what God told me. God said, no. Of course you can have dreams. Of course you can have goals. Of course you can have aspirations. But you don't need them. And now you can go forth in the world and still have a goal, still have a dream, still have an aspiration. But now the difference is you're doing it from spirit, from love. What is spirit? Remember, spirit is love. You're doing it from a place of love. You're not doing it from a place of ego, from a place of attachment. And I said, oh my God, where are we going with this? Okay. So I said, this is great. Now what do I do with this? How do I take this out into the real world? Okay. I said, God, I've got goals, I've got dreams, I've got aspirations. And especially, how do I take this out into the real world when it's the hustle culture, when it's the 9 to 5? How many of you are kind of in that 9 to 5 hustle culture still a little bit? Okay, some of you are retired, but even if you're retired, I'm guessing you're still pretty active, right, Walida? Yeah, Dell, you still got a lot going on. How many of you still got a lot going on? Okay. It's like, God, how am I supposed to do this? How am I supposed to take all of this, let go, still have all of this, and still manage somehow in the 9 to 5 modern world? God, talk to me again. I should show you all my journals sometime. It's pretty crazy. And God said it's the same thing. Remember, you are a spiritual being first. And I said, God, okay, I'm a spiritual being, but how do I do that in the real world when it's crazy and I've got 50 million things going on? Very simple. God took me back to an exercise that I've done many, many times in my life. Okay, take 5 to thrive. I said, okay, God, so am I supposed to go like just off by myself for 5 minutes and do something like that? And God said, yes, yes. And that's when I started to realize something else I understand. Okay, you've let go of ego. Okay, you've let go of this idea of non-attachment. Okay, so what comes next in the real world? Okay, and God said this. The most important relationship that you have, okay? God wants us to take care of ourselves because remember, who are we? One with God. And so God said, I want you to take care of yourself. I'm like, God, what does that mean? And God literally goes, I want you to be selfish. I'm like, God, what are you talking about? And God said, being selfish doesn't mean that you don't care about the other people in your life. God says being selfish means you care enough about yourself to bring the best version of you into the world. And I went, whoa. So when you go home, a part of the takeaway message is this. When you go home, be selfish. And what do I mean by that? Take care of yourself. Take 5 minutes for yourself. Because when you take that 5 minutes for yourself, what happens? You can bring forth the vibration into the world that you want to be. Okay? How many of you want more love in your life? How many of you want more peace in your life? How many of you want more joy in your life? Dale's like, I don't know, maybe a little bit. Of course, we all want that, right? But how do we get it unless we can give it? And how do we give it unless we can be it? Okay? And so I always say now, in my teachings, my coaching, be the change that you want to be, that you want to see in your life. Be the change that you want to see in your life. So what is that change? Is it something tangible? A new car? That's always nice. A new house? Or is it something more intangible? Peace, joy, love, all that good stuff. And so then God said this final reminder to me. Because again, like you said, it's about remembering who we are. I said, God, I always do this at the end of my journaling sessions. I say, God, summarize all this for me because it's a lot. This is heavy stuff. And he says, Brad, you don't need to build you because you're already built. But there is a but. But the way you get from where you are to where you want to be in your life is to let go. Because the thing you want is already there. And when you let go, then you have the freedom to attract into your life. And I said, God, whoa, this is some heavy stuff. But when we let go, and then when we let God guide us, like I'm doing here today, none of this has been planned. Okay? I'm just trusting God through the flow of the universe to come through me right now. When we let go, okay, we build ourselves by letting go. That's how we build ourselves. Okay? And when we let go and we build ourselves by letting go, then they will come. Only this time, what is the they? What is the they? They will come. Let go, and you will automatically build. They will come. And what is they this time? Is it your goal? No. Is it your dream? No. Is it your hope? No. Is it your aspiration? No. What is they? It's your joy. It's your peace. It's your love. And that's what life is about. And I said, God, I think I'm starting to understand. And then God said one more thing to me. He said, Brad, that's your job. And I said, what? Like, uh-oh. I said, my job is to let go? He said, yes. I'm like, well, what else do you mean, God? He said, your job, meaning me, Brad, my job is not to get up in the morning and make my coffee. My job is not to get up in the morning and make my bed, even though that's all good stuff. My job is not to get up in the morning and exercise. My job is not to get in my car and drive to the church and give this talk. My job is not to go to my regular 9-to-5 job. Come see me at the Performing Arts Center anytime if you happen to want to see a play. God said, Brad, you have one job. And does it pay? And God goes, Brad, your one job is this. This is my one job. This is your one job. Every person on this planet has one job. To love. To love. That's it. Pretty simple. This is coming. This is what God told me. This is coming from a spiritual perspective. You'll notice this is all ingrained in our philosophy right here. Ernest Holmes was a pretty smart guy, that he understood all this all over 100 years ago. So when you let God, you will build. And when you build it, yes, when you build you, by letting go, yes, they will come. The peace, the joy, the happiness, and most importantly, the love. So as you go forth today, remember who you are. Because sometimes I even forget. It's like I got to remember, go back to it's like, remember, forget, remember, forget. It's like, God, can't we just remember? It'd be a lot easier if we just remembered all the time, not some of the time, right? But that's not how life works. So we got to forget. In order to remember something, we have to forget it. Oh, where did I put my keys? Where did I put my water bottle? I forget. Who am I? I forget. So when you're out in the world, take a second, go within, remember who you are. Remember that you are spirit. Spirit first. Remember what your one job is, to love. And the one person that you must love more than anybody else in the world, the one person you must love more than your spouse, more than your child, more than your next door neighbor, more than your dog, is you. That's where life starts. Life starts with the relationship that you have with you and loving yourself. So in conclusion, I will just say, love yourself. Love yourself first and foremost unconditionally. Be selfish, prioritize yourself. Take time to do whatever it is you need to do to go within so that you can be a better version, so that you can bring that vibration that you want to the world. Okay? If you want something, you got to give it. If you want to give it, you got to be it. There's no other way. That's the heart of our philosophy right here. And then take time to love yourself. That's your job. Have a great day, everyone. Thank you. And so